Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my review of the Mafia Definitive Edition. I should start off by telling you that I never played the original, so I will be primarily reviewing the game as it is, rather than doing a comparison between the two. So if you have played the original and the remake, then feel free to share your thoughts in the comments below. You are Tommy Angelo, a local cab driver who will soon have his lines changed forever. You know, the somewhat typical story of a good guy gone bad. But Mafia isn't really that cut and dry. Without trying to spoil too much, the story has a really nice pacing to it and also keeps you interesting from start to finish. You never really see a plot twist coming in an expected way, and the way the story is being told is also very nice. The characters though, that's where Mafia really shines. Tommy's development from a taxi driver to what he becomes is subtle yet noticeable. The charisma he has with Sam and Polly, which is his two closest associates, is also something that really helps keeping you invested into the story. Very early on in the game, you can tell that a lot of time and care went into trying to make sure that this feels like an authentic Mafia story with all the usual Mafia type banter included.
One more thing. This matter stays between us. Anyone asks where you got that money, you won it at poker. The scratches on your car, you swerved to keep from hitting a little old lady. You got it?
No, of course.
See you around, kid.
The scene I just showed you really gave me a good laugh because you can clearly tell the bullet holes are still fresh in the taxi and Sam just rubs it off like he had to dodge an old lady. I guess she brought her 12 gauge. The biggest change between the original and the remake is obviously the world, and man did they do a great job with it. The overall vibe of the world feels very much like a 1930s era. Between the music, the feel of the cars, the way the cars sound and look, and the clothing, and especially the interiors, you can tell how much time and effort went into making sure that it will feel and look as much like a 1930s Mafia game as possible. The different areas of the docks, the city, and even Chinatown make the world feel interesting and fun to be a part of. In terms of missions, there's a good variation of what you will do. You never really feel like you're doing the exact same thing as in the previous mission, and because of the pacing of the game is so well done, I never really felt like the game was dragging on for the sake of making it longer. In terms of difficulty, there's the usual easy, normal and hard, but for those who are looking for a little bit more of a challenge, there's also classic difficulty. While not too difficult, it does provide a nice challenge, and I would even argue that's the best difficulty to play on. The combat doesn't really get that much harder, and the simulation driving gives a nice bit of realism to it, and it isn't that much different from the regular driving, apart from feeling a little bit stiffer. Speaking of the two different driving styles, I feel that even with the regular driving style, you still get the feeling that you're driving an older car, and if you want to make an even bigger step, then simulation driving gives you that extra, more authentic feel too. One thing though that is pretty irritating to me in terms of combat is the inconsistency that I felt while I was using guns. The Tommy gun, for example, doesn't really feel powerful at all, and playing the game on PS4 Pro, I felt a slight and somewhat weird aim acceleration while I was playing without aim assist, and it made it much more difficult than it should have been. Aim assist seems to be working against you rather than with you when you're trying to track an enemy when he's running from left to right. Mafia doesn't really shine in terms of fast-paced combat, and luckily there isn't really any. It just really is meant to be shooting from cover and try to go for headshots instead of running around with your Tommy gun and hose everyone down, like you could possibly do in Mafia 2. In terms of headshots, I also felt some inconsistency. While this could possibly be because of some damage fall off on the gun, I often felt that I was shooting them in the head while the reticule was right over their head. This is likely because of the slight idle sway within the game. On PC, however, I didn't have this issue. So this could possibly be a PS4 specific issue in terms of hit registration, as sometimes shooting them in the neck or above their heads counted as a headshot. I do want to point out though that this happens from time to time, and while it's noticeable, it didn't really reach a point of frustration for me. Overall, Mafia is a very solid game that is definitely worth picking up, especially for those who like Mafia 2. It follows a similar kind of structure in terms of the way the missions are played out and the game is being played. You also have the option to go around the world and explore it for yourself without the need of being in a mission, with the option to go on free ride. And this is also one of the nicer things you can do, because then you really get to appreciate just how authentic and how nice the world really is. Because between the world and the humor and the overall feel of the game, I feel Hangar 13 really did a great job with this remake. I guess you could say they made an offer you cannot refuse. You know what also is an offer you cannot refuse? Becoming a YouTube member like Logan Todd. Join him and all the other fellow members by clicking the join button down below. But with all that said and with all that done, of course I'd love to know what you think down in the comment section down below. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe for more, and I'll see you all later.
I have a true confession to make to you alone. It's all about the way I love